Next, we're going to cover a question submitted by a listener. Today's question comes from Janae. Janae is a teenager who asks, how do you know if it is better to buy expensive versus cheap stuff? Janae, great question. Thank you so much for asking. This is one of the best questions you can be asking. And just by the nature of you asking it in your teen years, tells me that you're being thoughtful and intentional and exercising prudence in your purchasing judgments. You want to know whether you should spend the extra money on something or go with the cheapest option. And unfortunately, the answer is it depends. And the best advice I can give you, because it depends, from purchase to purchase, item to item, instance to instance, person to person, whether you should buy nice or buy twice. Because it depends, what we need to do is go back to the fundamental virtue of personal finance. We need to go back to frugality, as we covered in the first 4 episodes of the podcast. You need to ask yourself about intentional practice of prudent economy. For starters, I want you to consider, is this a want or a need? It's like going to the store and you're looking at the deli meat and you see there's the cheapest option. The cheapest option may not be the healthiest, but then there's the most expensive option. It's like the branded meat that you're paying a premium for above the generic brand behind the counter, and you have them slice it up for you. There are all sorts of answers in between, but you have to ask yourself which one of these is going to be fulfilling the need that I have without the drawbacks, asking yourself what kind of cons there are. And when you go to make that purchase, in this example, intentionally pick what you're going to be looking for. Are you going to be going for the branded stuff? If there are cons, what is the least expensive option that I have that doesn't have those drawbacks, like extra nitrates? Is organic a want or a need? Those are things that you want to be considering in situations like that. Another thing that you can do to gather information so that you can weigh your options better would be looking at the lifetime cost. For example, let's consider a laptop, a brand new laptop. Let's assume that you could get a very expensive laptop that's brand new, has a lot of the newest features in it, Wi-Fi 6, HDMI 2.1. I'm really dating this podcast if you're listening in the far future. And you want to future-proof your laptop, so you want to get all the bells and whistles. You don't need all those bells and whistles today, but you expect if you bought a laptop like that, you could keep it around for, let's say, 8 years. Now, on the alternative, you could get a model that's 2, maybe 3 years older, may get it from a refurbished store. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles on it, but it costs significantly less. However, because you're buying something older, the operating system may be replaced and you may have obsolescence that are imposed upon your machine, or technology that is excelling past your machine and you might need to replace it sooner. Let's assume you need to buy 2 laptops like that in order to fill the need of one with all the bells and whistles. You can compare then the cost of 2 inexpensive laptops to the cost of the one with all the bells and whistles and break it down into a cost per year. You can also talk about the value it's providing. If you use a computer for production purposes, if you have something that is able to export your creative productions in, let's say, a quarter of the time, and it can increase your throughput on a daily basis by 10 or 15%, well, then you have an income generating asset that you can look at how much extra work am I able to produce and how long does it take me to generate enough revenue with this improved laptop over the less expensive alternative. How long will it take me to break even? How long will it take me to recoup the initial investment that I put into that laptop? When it comes time to upgrade laptops again, sell your computer, how much value do you expect that laptop to maintain? You can look at historical values for what laptops of a certain age are going to be able to sell for. It's possible that if you buy one that's already depreciated some in value that you got on sale, the less expensive laptop without the bells and whistles, that you may not lose as much value over a short period of time as opposed to the one with all the bells and whistles. By the time you're done with it, it might not be worth near anything. So you can then consider the initial amount of money that you're putting up front. You can consider how much you expect you get back at the end of the lifetime. and you can compare the lifetime cost of that expensive item to the lifetime cost of two less expensive items that would need replaced more often. Now, not every purchase you make merits this sort of analysis for comparison, but for more major purchases, ones that are going to be sizable percentages of your monthly income, like a nice laptop can be, or a desktop computer, or a car. Cars are a great example when you might want to consider lifetime cost analysis. Lastly, and this is probably the most helpful, in considering something that is more expensive, consider your dream laptop as opposed to one that meets about 80% of what you're looking for. That item that costs less, that doesn't fill all of your dreams and desires, is probably going to be less. Remember from the economy episode 4 of the HopeFilled Financial Podcast, something that fills about the first 80% of our wants or our needs is going to cost about 20% of something that fulfills all of our wants, all of the utility, or all of the need that we're looking for. I hope that the ideas of thinking about buying nice or buying twice can help you make important decisions that pop up as you go through your hope-filled financial journey. Thank you so much for asking your question, Janae. If you are a listener who has a question that has been inspired by today's answer and you would like to continue this conversation or ask another question, please send us a message on Facebook or go to our website, hopefilledfinancial.com, and submit a question. There's a little form. Do you have a question at the bottom of the website? And we will get back to you. We will answer your question on the podcast. And I will message you back. I will let you know what episode on which your question is answered.